You know, the greatest strategic failure in marketing is something called the completion illusion. It's this belief that just having a feature-complete product is enough to win, but it ignores a fundamental neurological fact. Customers only buy when the perceptual gap between their pain and your solution has been completely erased. We've all seen it, right? Products that are technically brilliant, yet they just fail to find an audience. For years, the wisdom has been to build more, add more, optimize more. You get caught in this endless arms race of features. But what if that's a losing battle? What if the real path to winning isn't about adding, but about subtracting? Subtracting risk, subtracting friction, and subtracting doubt. Today, we're going to explore how to architect certainty for your customers. So let's dive in. This quote, it just nails the foundational myth that has led to so many beautifully engineered products dying in obscurity. I mean, think about it. Products that check every single box with these elegant user interfaces and powerful backends, and yet they fail to get any real traction. So why does this happen so often? Well, it's because we, the builders, we fall in love with our own solution. We see its perfection, its cleverness, but the customer, they don't see our product, they see a risk. They see this giant chasm of unknowns they have to cross. They're standing over on one side with their problem, looking at your solution on the other, and they're not asking, hey, how many features does it have? They're asking, will that bridge even hold my weight? And this slide right here shows the core conflict, the fundamental shift in strategy we have to get our heads around. On the left, you've got the old belief, feature completion wins. This was just a simple arms race of who had the longest list of features. But that's a race to the bottom, right? It leads to these bloated, confusing products that, frankly, nobody actually wants to use. And on the right is the new reality, gap erasure wins. The companies that are winning today, they're not just building features. They are obsessively, methodically erasing every single shred of doubt from the customer's mind. It's a huge change in focus, from what your product has to the uncertainty it removes. So to really get this, we're going to architect our own certainty right here in this explainer. We'll start by tearing down the completion illusion and understanding the market forces that led to the commodity crisis. Then we'll get into the real engine, bridging the perceptual gap. We'll dive deep into the psychology of certainty that powers this whole thing, lay out an architect's framework you can actually use, and finally, show how this process transforms your offer from just another choice into an absolute necessity. Okay, let's kick things off with section 1, the completion illusion. This is where the paradox of the modern sale lives. The more technically better your product is, the easier it becomes to go blind to the real reasons customers hesitate. You're focused on the elegance of your code, the speed of your servers, the sheer breadth of your features. But your customers, they aren't buying any of that. They are buying a feeling, the feeling of confidence. They are buying the complete and total erasure of the uncertainty and risk that is keeping them awake at night. Let's really try to get inside the customer's head for a second. When they look at your solution, they do not see a shiny new tool. They see a project. Their internal monologue is just running wild. Okay, how many weeks is this going to take to implement? Who's going to handle the data migration? How in the world am I going to convince my team to learn another new system? And beneath all that is the biggest fear of all. What if I champion this thing and it fails? I'm going to look like an idiot in front of my boss. This chasm filled with what we call invisible friction, that's their reality. And until you build a solid bridge over it, your beautiful list of features is completely and totally irrelevant. So you might be wondering, how did we get here? How did we get to a place where this invisible friction matters more than the product itself? Well, this shift wasn't random. It was the inevitable result of what we call the commodity crisis. And this wasn't just some minor trend. It was a seismic event that fundamentally rewrote the rules of the game for literally everyone building software. So look, right around 2022, something profound happened. Thanks to things like cloud infrastructure, open source libraries, and all these powerful no-code platforms, the cost and time it took to build software just absolutely plummeted. I mean, 10 years ago, building a custom CRM would be a multi-million-dollar project. Today, a small team could whip up a functional version in a month. And just like that, the features themselves, stopped being a real competitive advantage. When everyone can build everything, features become a commodity, as common as electricity. This shift created a completely new value equation in the market. So when features are commodities, what becomes the new currency? Certainty. Customers, whether they're individuals or huge companies, they instinctively stopped asking, so what does it do? And they started asking, can you guarantee my desired outcome? The entire focus shifted from the tool itself to the reliability of the transformation it promised. Outcome certainty became the only metric that mattered, because unlike a feature, you can't just easily copy a guaranteed outcome. And this brings us to the engine of the entire framework. If the goal is outcome certainty, how do we manufacture it? Well, you do it by systematically identifying and filling the 3 voids that create uncertainty in the first place. This isn't some simple checklist. It's a dynamic system called the perceptual bridge loop. It's all about building an architecture with 3 distinct layers of trust. Okay, the first and most foundational layer is the utility gap. This is the brass tacks, nuts and bolts question: does your product actually do the job? It's about raw functional capability. A customer might be thinking, sure, but can your software import my .csv file with all its weird formatting? Can it integrate with Salesforce and HubSpot? If they have even a flicker of doubt right here, the conversation is already over. This is the first gate, and you can't open it with promises. You need overwhelming proof, like a live demo using their actual data or a bulletproof case study from a company that looks just like theirs. So once they believe your product can work, the very next void appears: the cognitive gap. This is all about mental friction. They're thinking, okay, so it has the feature, but how hard is it to actually use? Am I going to need a PhD to understand this dashboard? How much of my team's time will be just wasted in training just to get started? This is the "do I understand it" gate. A powerful product that's intimidating is just as useless as one that's broken. You have to bridge this gap with radical clarity, intuitive design, and maybe a guided onboarding that feels totally effortless. And finally, we come to the gap that most companies completely ignore: the social gap. This is the deepest, most human layer of uncertainty, and it's all about professional survival. The customer's asking themselves this terrifying question: if I stick my neck out for this product and it fails, am I going to get fired? Is my team going to resent me for this? Is this decision going to make me look like a visionary or a complete fool? This isn't about features anymore, it's about fear. This "will it make me look good" gate requires you to provide psychological safety, not just software. Think testimonials from industry leaders or an ironclad, no questions asked money-back guarantee. So let's just pull this all together in a single view. This table summarizes the 3 layers of doubt you have to overcome. First, you've got the utility gap, where the core question is simply, can it do it? And the friction is all about technical limitations. If you pass that test, you face the cognitive gap: do I understand it? Where the friction is complexity and onboarding. And finally, the big one, the social gap: will it make me look good? Where the friction is pure professional risk. A winning offer isn't just good at one of these. It's an architecture that systematically builds a bridge across all 3 voids. So, we've identified the gaps, but why is bridging them so incredibly powerful? Well, this is where we move from marketing tactics to deep human psychology. The framework we've been talking about isn't just good business strategy, it's literally applied behavioral economics. We're about to explore a specific psychological trigger that, when you understand it, can transform your entire approach and become your most powerful engine for growth. It all starts with something called the Zeigarnik Effect. Now, you felt this your whole life. It's the reason a cliffhanger at the end of a TV show drives you absolutely crazy. It's that nagging feeling of an unfinished project that you just can't get out of your head. Our brains are hardwired to crave closure. An open loop creates this low-grade mental tension, and we instinctively seek to resolve it. So, how do we get from a simple psychological tick to an actual sale? This is the critical connection. See, traditional marketing is all about pushing a solution. You shout about your features, you hope to create some interest. But what we're talking about here is the complete opposite. It's about finding an existing unresolved tension, an open loop, in your customer's world and gently making them aware of it. You aren't creating a problem, you're just highlighting one they already have but might be ignored. And here's how you put it to work. First, you make the gap visible. You use data, you use audits or diagnostics to show the customer the concrete cost of their current situation, the money they're losing, the time they're wasting. Second, this creates that psychological tension, the open loop. They now can't unsee the problem. Third, you position your offer not as a product, but as the one and only way to achieve closure. And finally, the purchase itself isn't a transaction. It's a moment of satisfying relief. You're not selling, you're providing closure. This reframes everything we think about competition. Your biggest competitor isn't the other company with a similar feature set. It's the customer's powerful, neurologically ingrained desire to do nothing. It's the status quo bias. Human brains are literally wired to prefer a familiar pain over an uncertain gain. But by making the gap, the cost of doing nothing, visible, painful, and urgent, you make the status quo look like the riskiest choice of all. You actually turn their own psychology against their inertia. Okay, we've covered the what, the why, and the psychology. Now let's get to the how. This isn't just theory, it's a discipline. Transitioning from a seller to an architect of certainty requires a practical, actionable framework. This is your blueprint. This chart introduces the single most important metric for an architect of certainty, the outcome to feature ratio. On the left, you see a typical failing product. It's bloated with features, right? It creates this tangled mess of complexity, but it delivers very little in the way of a guaranteed outcome. It actually creates more work for the customer. A winning offer, on the right, is completely different. It may have fewer features, but every single one is ruthlessly optimized to deliver a specific, certain outcome with minimal friction. The goal is simple: maximize the outcome while you minimize the complexity the user has to deal with. So what does an architect of certainty actually do? Well, there are 4 key actions. First, discover. This means you stop asking customers what features they want and you start obsessively watching where they fail. You use data to find the gaps they can't even articulate. Second, engineer. You don't just build the tool, you build the entire implementation path. You don't just sell the car, you pave the road and draw the map. Third, automate. Use your analytics to create a friction audit. Pinpoint every single spot where users drop off or get confused and treat those as critical failures. And finally, you have to measure your certainty velocity. How fast can you take a customer from just being interested to achieving their full desired outcome? That speed is your most important metric. All right, let's bring this all home. When you truly master this framework, something fundamental shifts. The entire dynamic with your market completely inverts. You stop chasing customers with features, and they start seeking you out for certainty. This is the inevitable, powerful outcome of systematic gap erasure. This slide just perfectly captures the new paradigm. The old model is a push model. You push features, you push benefits, you push demos, trying to force a solution through a funnel. The new model, the architect's model, is all about pull. By making a gap visible, you create a psychological vacuum. The customer then feels this irresistible pull toward closure, toward relief, toward the certainty that you offer. The sale isn't something you force. It becomes the natural, inevitable conclusion of a journey they feel completely in control of. And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. When your entire process, from product design all the way to marketing, is built around anticipating and eliminating the utility, the cognitive, and the social gaps, you fundamentally change the game. You transcend the competitive landscape because you're no longer competing on features. You are no longer just another option on a spreadsheet. You become the only logical answer. You stop being a choice and you start being an asset.